Buckle your seatbelt, kids, and if you know how to, tie your shoelaces. You're in for another rant video for the second week in a row. This cannot be good. No. You have been warned. Let the demonetization process begin! I should probably preface first by saying that something has happened, but I can't tell you what. I can't be at all specific about it, for several reasons. The main one being that it would most definitely ruin the irony of this video. But I can't not vent about it. That's who I am. I vent, I rant, I complain all the livelong day until the sun is behind the horizon. And then I continue until physically I cannot anymore because I've developed a bad case of laryngitis, or someone has duct taped my mouth shut and I've passed out in a ditch somewhere. Hopefully a nice ditch without water in it. But I can't not talk about it, you feel? It physically hurts me in my souls of the people that my ginger army has brought back for me to store for when we begin the ginger apocalypse. So in order to satiate myself, but so as not to ruin the dramatic irony of this video in the process, I'll be venting about the biggest aspect of what has happened that bothers me. Not the actual thing that bothers me, just the thing that is about the thing that bothers me. And oh boy, does it bother me more than not being able to talk about the thing that I want to talk about. But I can't talk about it because it would ruin the dramatic irony of this video. You see, we're going to be discussing the concept, the idiom, known as beating around the bush. And I bet some of you who actually know what that means appreciate how funny it is that we're discussing the topic in this video, because I can't talk about what we're actually wanting to talk about here. It's funny because in not being at all specific about what's going on in my personal life, I'm doing exactly what I'm ranting about today. Beating around the bush. Which is what some may call hypocrisy, but I prefer to call it irony, although I've heard it both ways. What is it, you may be asking, if you are not as in touch with English language as I am? It's an idiom, and it's used for when you're talking about something, but you specifically make an effort to avoid talking about said thing. Usually it's something difficult or unpleasant that you are avoiding talking about. You could also call it passive-aggressive, or pussyfootin'. That's my dad's particular favorite term for this. Prevaricate. Wow, I just realized most of those are sexual euphemisms. just look up the etymology of prevaricate. Trust me on this. Regardless of how you say it, though, pussyfootin', I'm not its biggest fan. At all. Despite the fact that I'm making an entire video employing that exact idiom. Pussyfootin', because, like, my dudes, I need to be upfront with you. You got to know that I don't have all the time in the world, right? Time is money, money is power, power is pizza. Pussyfootin', I'm a college student who volunteers in her free time, who studies her ass off, who makes videos for a hobby on YouTube, and who has a job in college. Do you think I have a lot of free time to spare? I mean, yes, I did have a 10-hour marathon of Lord of the Rings on Friday, but I specifically scheduled time aside in my schedule to engage in that type of leisurely activity. You got me? So my preference for interacting with people when I'm not having one of my more social moods and engaging like a normal person is handled one of three ways. Number one, there straight up is no interaction whatsoever, and I'm even more likely already made plans to get done or find out what I need on my own to get done this thing that I need to get done, because that's another one of my personal philosophies. Self-sufficiency, self-reliance. It does not pair nicely with my laziness, that being said. Number two, the interaction that I have with said person is usually not something that I take too seriously. Most of the time, everything that I say is a joke or meant to be taken ironically. Insert occasional insult or immature 7th grade humor here. Basically the Weebo that you see on Twitter or in the compilation comments and subtweet videos that I have. If you watched my debate with Radio 1, you got a prime example of that every single time. You heard me say okay in response to radio. If I'm going to engage with people on my own time, it's going to be entertaining for me. Of course. Now, number 3 is the most relevant to this video. If I must talk with somebody and it's absolutely necessary to be productive and serious, I will encourage that person to get to their point as quickly as possible. And hopefully in a short and concise, sensible sentence. Preferably 1, but 2 is nice as well. Again, this was exemplified in my Radio 1 debate when we did that with radio, because at certain times that man could go on for fucking ever. About nothing. Absolutely nothing. So sometimes there is a 4th option, but that's a Weebo reserved for only the most necessary and dire circumstances and for children. I don't know what it is about kids, but for some reason I have exponentially more time and desire to interact with children and patience for children than I do with everybody else. Yet, somehow, despite all this, I have friends. I know, my family is surprised with this development as well. You're not alone. Anyway, so I don't tolerate pussyfooting if I can help it. We've established this. So that means that when someone comes up to me all talkity talk and they take forever to get to their point, we'd be like,
Today, Junior?
I'm not talking about stuttering, though. I'm talking about people who specifically neglect to actually voice their problems. Questions, concerns, conundrums, queries, for whatever reason. When that's quite literally the thing that would specifically solve that problem in that instance. It's not rocket science, people, that if you actually speak up about issues that matter to you and make it known that these specific things need to be fixed, that it's even more likely that they will become fixed in the near certain future. Holy crap! Mind-blowing, I know. Now, this type of shenanigans is quite frequently one utilized by children when they have concern, but they don't typically want to voice it because they're nervous. That's okay. I get that. Children get a pass from me because they're young and they have time to learn that using their voice will get them what they want. But they usually do voice their issues after all, with a bit of minor coaxing and maybe some gentle encouragement. Beating around the bush is also something used fairly frequently by immature adults. Adults, because I expect this from not grown-ass adults. This type of behavior is something that you would expect from a child, not a grown-ass fucking adult who's supposed to be able to take care of their own problems by themselves, but can't for some reason because they're fucking not mature enough. I don't fucking get it. Adults who don't know how to speak up and get confrontational with their problems. Gentlemen, I'm sure you've, if you've ever interacted with a woman,
It's a trap.
know what I speak of when I speak of this shenanigans.
When a girl says to a guy, I'm fine, what it really means is I'm not fine, and you better figure out what's wrong with me in the next 20 seconds, or I'm going to go crazy on your ass.
Probably had some sort of similar experience to this.
Is something wrong?
No, nothing's wrong.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought something was wrong.
Of course something's wrong, you idiot!
Frankly, this is one of the biggest reasons as to why I and other women, and a lot of other people, don't, for the most part, get along. Because I am confrontational to the extreme. They are not. Hence the clash. I can be a little bit heavy-handed and intimidating in that respect because I'm so confrontational. Not so much for them. Of course, that's to be expected. Women are typically, prone to be more collaborative in nature, and hence any animosity they feel towards anyone gets shoved down for the sake of preserving any current cohesion that may exist between that of the woman and whoever it is that she doesn't want to confront. This is why they typically don't engage in wage negotiations for their careers. They typically settle for whatever amount is given to them, whether or not they deem it to be good enough for them. And that's an issue, and it's bullshit, because then you get things like the wage gap myth. Figure out exactly what it is that you want, and then go for it. That's my piece of advice. But, as I said before, it's not just women that do this. Oh, no. It's men, too. Young adult males, specifically, that are like this, especially on the college level, as I have come to learn. Men and women of universities, higher education, learning centers who have no idea how to be confrontational. It makes me worrisome for the future of these generations. Oh my god. Example, is there a class that you're taking where the teacher cannot fucking teach? You either suck it up and teach yourself the material, maybe raise your hand in class and tell the teacher how to improve their methods, even if that involves playing a Khan Academy video in class in place of, that professor actually lecturing to you. Or go to the administration and tell them straight up how very much displeased you are with their hiring decisions and how little that professor knows how to teach. I mean, come on, do you not have a fucking... Do you not have a probationary system in order to weed out which professors are actually good and which ones should not be professors? Like where a professor comes in and audits a class for a period of time and determines whether or not said professor is actually good enough to be at this school. Don't wait until the end of the semester to fill out the teaching surveys that they give out anonymously, because at that point, you've already taken the whole fucking class, you've paid several thousands of dollars for that class, wasted a chunk of your time. You do not deserve to make yourself wait until the end, all passive-aggressive like, and then fill out an anonymous survey at the end of the semester. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the... Do we not have... Why can we not have midterm evaluations for our teachers as well? I mean, seriously, come on. This goes for any class that you may take at uni. So, you deserve the highest caliber education if you've paid for it, alright? So fucking demand it. But how about extracurricular activities? This one's a little bit trickier. You don't pay for extracurricular activities necessarily, depending on the extracurricular, whatever. Maybe someone hasn't shown up to rehearsal since the first week of the semester, yet they have a solo and are somehow still part of the group. Why does it take 2 months and a lowly sophomore with no rank in the actual club to bring up to the president and the vice president of said club that this person hasn't been here for like 2 months and that they still have a solo? Well, why does the lowly sophomore with no rank have to tell the VP or the president, or at least encourage them, to get on top of emailing said person who has been AWOL for months? And we're a few weeks out from the concert too. I mean, come on. How about online here? Anyone here have that friend that writes their very non-specific and carefully ambiguous diary entries on their Facebook feed for all to see? I do. And then this is the kicker. This is the kicker. It's not the fact that they're so open about not being open on Facebook, being all alone and no one being there for them, and it's directed at one specific person, but they don't want to actually name said person. No. The kicker is then when someone comments on that very depressing post that they've made publicly, that they go ahead and tell the person that's commented to message them privately about it. Like, what? What? No, you've already made the public fucking post. No. You do not get to get away with, being all sneaky and private about your private life when you've just made it very public for everybody. Alright? Now we're all curious. Now I want to know who the fuck broke your heart. Not because I actually care about you, but because I'm curious as to who would have been stupid enough to get into a relationship with an immature little fuck. My father. Alright? This is important. Because this explains exactly where I'm coming from. Because I was raised by my father, and he always taught me that communication is key. That it is a valuable thing to have between people if you actually want to get things done in a timely, organized manner and have it not be an utter fucking disaster. Now, I have been on this planet for 20 years, and in that time I have seen my fair share of oopsie daisies that resulted in disaster and mayhem and even emotional breakdowns because of misinformation, or because someone decided that they didn't even want to bring attention to their problem because whatever fucking reason. I got a news flash for you kids. Life goes a lot smoother for you if you open up your fucking pie holes and voice what it is that you want. Just some food for thought for y'all. It's been an interesting week for me, and that was something that actually has been bugging me for quite some time. So it's good to get it off my chest. No, I'm not going to be using you guys as a diary. Hell, I don't even care if you take my advice. I don't give a fucking shit. Be as passive-aggressive as you'd like to be. Just know that you have absolutely no right to be pissy about nothing changing because you didn't say anything. And also, I won't give a fuck if nothing changes for you. Okay? Okay. We're in agreement. One last thing. The world and its reality are not slaves to your every whim and thought. Just like how all people that you interact with aren't omniscient mind readers. Nor do a majority of them care about you specifically as a person. They don't know you. They don't have an obligation to you. And they certainly don't know what it is that they can do to make you feel soft and warm and snuggly without you maybe saying something. Oh my gosh. What if I'm thinking this is common sense? This is probably why I don't have a lot of friends. Now, I know this video is less focused on specifics as you would like it to be, but I did that on purpose. That was for the purpose of the video. That was to emphasize my point in a sense. We'll get back to the grind next week after I have completed my last test for the year with a much more interesting video, and then I have finals to look forward to. Yay. And since we're housekeeping, the year's winding down and I'm moving back home in less than a month and then heading to Greece for 2 weeks. Don't worry, I have some interesting video ideas for the weeks leading up to that and beyond, so never fear, my lovely viewers. Hopefully the content won't taper off unless something truly inconvenient happens, like my computer dies. But on a more important note, and this is a little bit more pressing of an issue, you'll notice that the maker support link isn't in the description with the rest of the links that I usually have posted in there. And that's because maker support hasn't paid me for the month of April as of yet, and right now it's the 22nd of this month as I am currently recording. Supposedly, there was a routine Stripe review that they were conducting, which was why all payouts, not just mine, but a great deal many other creators that you may be familiar with, were put on hold until 2 days ago when everything became available for payout, which isn't actually the case because when you push the button to pay out, this pops up. Honestly, I don't know what this means. I've been in contact with Stripe, who were not very helpful in the slightest, mind you. And Maker Support hasn't said a goddamn thing for a week with regards to any of this. Speaking of beating around the bush and pussyfooting around, hey, look, we're connecting things. Anyway, that being said, to my Maker supporters, since I can't directly message you on the platform, because that's another feature that does not work on the Maker support page, I encourage you to contact me at Twitter and an email or any way that you possibly can think of, really, but also I would start contacting your banks and request a refund or back pay or whatever it is that you can. I'll keep the Maker support open because I don't know what would happen to your money in the event that I close the account prematurely with funds still in there, so we'll see. And if I do actually get the payouts, I'm totally open to refunding all of the money if that is a thing that you're interested in, which, again, you would have to contact me directly for that, so let me know. Now, if anyone else is a Maker supporter for another content creator, I would suggest getting in touch with your creator as well to touch base with them on what's going on and their current situation, which I think might be the same as mine, but I can't speak to theirs as well. That's just me. Now, with that being said, if you like me and my content enough that you want to support the channel, you can check out the links in the description to my Patreon, my Amazon list, and my Teespring. If you don't like me nearly as much as that, that's totally fine. It is what it is. You can always like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.